Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And thank you, Kerri, for being with us. I'm restarting Self-Care for the Soul podcast. I'm Debra Grenard. I have with us today Kerri Hummingbird, and I'm very excited to have this discussion with Kerri today. Kerri's going to talk to us about stepping into your purpose. And welcome, Kerri.
Thanks for having me. It's good to see people on the call, and we're going to have a great conversation. I know it.
Absolutely,
awesome.
We are. Yes, I'm looking forward to this. Now, I want to tell people about you a little bit for people who don't know you, so that they get a feel for who you are. So I'm going to read your bio. Kerri Hummingbird, Soul Guide, inspires people to lead their lives wide awake with an authenticity, passion, and purpose that positively impacts others. She catalyzes mind shifts that transform life challenges into gifts of wisdom with her Reinvent Yourself program for individual and group mentoring. She is the international best-selling author of The Second Wave, Transcending the Human Drama, and the award-winning best-selling book, Awakening to Me, One Woman's Journey to Self-Love. I love that. Which describes the early years of her spiritual awakening. She has served as a social activist, leader, and philanthropist for over 3 decades. She is the founder of the Skills Not Pills movement and the host of Soul Nectar Show, which she was so kind to have me on. So thank you again, Kerri, for being here.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So Kerri, can you tell us, we see where you have come to. Can you tell us where you've come from and a little bit about how you got into this line of work?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I got into this line of work from my own personal journey, of course, and started off with some pretty tumultuous stuff in my early childhood. 0 to 5 was very rocky. Had a lot of chaos in my life. And my mom was discovering that my natural father was maybe not a good influence for me early on. He had his own childhood traumas from his mother and, being left outside of hotel rooms while she met with men and all kinds of stuff like that. Mm. So, he was having a healing journey of his own. And so my mom took me away from him and then married somebody she thought was going to be a great provider. And then he turned out to be a very abusive person. So I lived my first 5 years of my life in that way. And then my mom met husband number 3 who was, awesome. It's like my dad. So from that until, a few years ago, I had that influence in my life. So that set me up for some pretty tumultuous things in my brain, because as we know, 0 to 7, your brain is programmed.
Right.
With the structures of how life is. And you're a sponge. You're just picking up all of this information as if this is the truth, because you don't have the ability to discern until you're 7. So that was my early experience.
Yeah, so that's your initial programming.
My initial programming. So my initial programming really set me up for a lot of questions, actually, which I don't think is a bad thing, because I had kind of a cracked foundation. I didn't have one mom and one dad, and it was stable through the whole period, and this is just how life is. I had like these radically different experiences all in the space of 5 years with 3 different dads and my mom and how she showed up and our situation. It was like, what's true? What's not true? And a lot of things to heal, So I spent the first part of my life essentially operating in this idea that I was somehow broken or there was something wrong with me, because that was how my mom handled it, was like, oh, there's something wrong with you because of these experiences and you got to be in I was in psychotherapy at 2 years old because I was biting my arms and leaving red welting marks.
Wow.
So I'm long-term psychotherapy student, I guess. So I did weekly psychotherapy from the time I was like 15 onwards. 15 is the age where your sexuality starts to bloom, right? And so any traumas that you might have about your sexuality just surface as your own, as your sexuality starts to blossom. If you have early childhood programming around it, like it starts to surface. And the same as when I had my children. So it's like, I learned when you have your children, again, like all the stuff from your early childhood and your programming surfaces when you have your kids.
It's opened up.
It all opens up, and you start to become aware of things, and like, oh, I don't want to repeat that. So that was my journey. That was my a journey until I woke up. And the awakening for me was saying, well, I did all the things that they said to do to get better. I did all the things. I went to weekly psychotherapy. I took my don't feel anything pills. I did all the things to be a good girl and comply. And at the end of the day, that stuff made me feel worse and worse about myself. It didn't help me heal. And I ended up, really depressed and sad and suicidal and was like, I don't even want to be here. And I've got 2 small children and, this 20-year relationship. So at the end of that, I decided I got a spirit vision, which was the first, I don't know the first, but I rarely got them at that time. It just every so often I would get one. And I got this spirit vision. It said, that's the end of the rope. I actually saw like a ship's knot that you would tie up to a dock. And then I saw it disappear and just like, whoosh. And then I got this message. Wow. That's the end of the rope.
That's the end of the rope.
That's it. And I said, okay, well, that's done. Whatever has been up until now, I need to stop and move into the unknown and try for something new.
So how did you know that's what it was telling you?
I had an inner knowing. It's like I had the inner knowing. I was like, oh, that's the end of the rope. I don't have to keep doing this anymore. I need to leave. I need to leave my marriage. I need to leave. And then I realized I need to leave psychotherapy. That's not working for me. It's making me more sad. I was like, okay, I need to stop that. And so I took the leap of faith and I went into the unknown, not knowing what was going to happen. And I got into my own house, my own space, and I instantly felt better the first night. It was like, wow. Relieved.
Yeah.
Relieved. I'm not in that space. I'm in my own space. I'm safe. Like I instantly felt better. And it took about 5 months before I was willing to look at myself in a new way, like before I was willing to try again.
But it was kind of like you just went from one reality into a
totally
whole new reality.
Pretty much that's what happened. It wasn't like an instant shift, like, okay, bam, I was the person I am today. It was not like that. I don't want to give
happen that way. I don't know anybody that it happens that way for.
It wasn't like that. But there was this immediate instant relief to face the fear of leaving everything I had built. Like I left everything I had built. Think about it, 20 years of a relationship. Wow. The house, I finally got my art studio. It was this beautiful big art studio we built on this land out here in Texas. I mean, it's like gorgeous. And I walked away from it because I knew the whole paradigm I was living in was going to kill me. I couldn't stay in there. So I took the leap of faith, and about 6 months later, I overcame tremendous inner resistance to go with a new friend to a yoga class. Just so much inner resistance to do this. And I went, and it was so great. I was so glad I did it. I was like, I was starting to learn how to breathe and move my body. And I'd always done that, but like weird body positions and stretches. My friends always in college were like, you're so weird. Like you're always on the floor stretching. What are you doing? I didn't know what I was doing. I just innately, something in me knew that I needed to stretch. I needed to move.
That your body needed to move.
Yeah. And then I got this teacher, I got a spiritual mentor, because I said, okay, I'm not going back to psychotherapy, but if this is different than that, then I'll do it. If this is different than that, then I'll try it. Because I still know there's things I want to change in myself and I need help. So that was great. He was a yogi with hair down to his hips, and he played Led Zeppelin in vinyasa class. That seemed pretty cool. I was like, all right.
Is that in Austin?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask what year that was?
I was like 2011.
Okay. No. Well, I mean, it might have been the same person. I'm wondering if
Crispy Baggettson. But he's a no nonsense. Crispy.
Chris, but okay.
Chris, yeah, Chris Phillip. Yeah, but he goes by Crispy.
Okay.
So he said, you know what, Kerri, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you like it is. And I was like, okay, I think I need that. I think I need truth. Yes, please tell me like it is.
Yeah.
And at the first session, he told me like it was. He said, "You're creating this whole situation." I was like kind of plunk myself down like I did in psychotherapy. And I was like, going to tell the whole story about how the person I was dating right now really upset me and it hurt my feelings and the whole thing. And I was just telling the story. And he's like, "I just have to stop you. You're creating this." And some way that he said it sunk in, and I knew it was true. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I am creating this. How am I creating this? How am I creating this? And how do I stop creating this? Because I don't want to create this anymore.
Right. So what he just did was empower you and say, look, this is in your hands and you have the power to change it.
Yeah. And I was like, it was such a revelation for me. I did not know that I had been creating the thing the whole time. So that started a journey of like, okay, if I'm creating this, how can I stop creating this and create something else that I like better? And what's in the way of me doing that? Like, what's in my brain that's telling me something not true that I could discover, reveal, and then start creating something better for myself? So that just kicked off like this entire investigation, this curiosity, this exploration, this like everything that I thought was true was up for grabs. Like, maybe it's not true. Maybe I'm willing to think it might not be true.
Awesome. Yeah. You're willing to wipe the slate clean and start over.
But what else did I have to lose? I think that the thing was, is I got to the place where I had nothing left to lose. If I was going to kill myself, then I had nothing left to lose. If I could, if that's where I was at, which is where I felt, then I could let everything go. Because if I'm willing to do that, just end it, then can I just take this step right before that and be willing to just clear everything I think I know and let go of it all while still alive?
Yeah. Wow. That's a beautiful statement right there. And I know I'm just going to interject here for a second, because I know there are a lot of people who are really struggling right now in the present time that we're in, and a lot of people reaching the end of their rope. And so I love that you're telling this story right now. And so if you're in that position of, I'm just saying this to anybody listening, if they're in that position of, not knowing, the position of not, a lot of people are in the position of not knowing right now. And we are going to get through this together. But think about what Kerri just said there. Like, wait a minute, in that place of not knowing and that place of what have we got left to lose, that step just before, being willing to let go of what you think you know, everything you think you know, and say, maybe there's another way. That's really powerful.
And being willing to realize that you're creating it somehow. You're creating your piece of it. So if you're creating your piece of it, then you can stop creating that. And you could create something else. Like, I think collectively we're all creating this thing together because we need it.
Mm-hmm.
And why do we need it? Because the way we've been doing things isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
It's hurting ourselves. It's hurting the planet. The things that we've put our trust and faith in are actually not maybe as good for us as we thought.
Right.
And some people are waking up to that a little quicker than others because there's resistance. So what's the resistance? The resistance is not wanting to be wrong.
Okay.
None of us wants to be wrong or to blame.
Yeah. And I think some of that too is we just get so set in our creature comforts and our beliefs of this is what life is. We're programmed with certain beliefs, and it's like outside of the realm of our consciousness that we could live differently and have a different way of life and a different way of interacting with each other and the planet. That would be,
it could be radically different, and we're opening to that now. So this is, in my own journey, I got comfortable with this creature behind me, the butterfly, because I realized what a powerful ally that butterfly was for me in my own transformation process. And in order to get to be the butterfly, which is awesome, I got to say, every new moment of being a butterfly that I get is like better than before.
Nice.
And it's always preceded by the cocoon.
Right.
You can't skip the cocoon part. That That's the deal. If you want the butterfly piece, you got to go to the cocoon part. Because the cocoon part is really the space of questioning every single thing you think and feel as whether or not that's actually true.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like what you said, just at that point, you know, because when the caterpillar, and you know, we've talked before. I was on Kerri's show and loved it. And so, yeah, we had this conversation. I love what you're saying right now, because that caterpillar does get to that stage developmentally where it's like it or not, you're going to change, right? And it has to do its little thing and go up and, attach itself by its tail and hang upside down. And, then it literally secretes the enzyme that digests itself. So it digests its own body. The enzyme digests its own body, and it changes into this liquid form, and it morphs into this chrysalis. And then the only thing that's not digested are the imaginal cells that then feed on the composted self. And that's what then forms and feeds on the composted self and forms into the body parts that become the butterfly. So, it's like, this is perfect in line with the story you're telling too,
Yeah.
because we're digesting ourselves and feeding on the compost of our old selves.
Yeah, it's like another metaphor for this, which I really love, is when I started on my path to become a healer, I studied with the Four Winds Society, and they have us work with a tradition from the Q'ero people. That's Q''ERO in Peru. It's called a mesa. So the Q'ero people live way up high in the Andes Mountains, and high up in the Andes Mountains, there's a whole lot of rocks and not a whole lot of other stuff. So
Wow.
They cultivated their spiritual practice with rocks, with stones. So they call them cuyas, medicine stones. So in the training to become a healer in this practice, all of your medicine stones, they come from your wounds. So the things that you had to face in your own journey, then that medicine stone is for that wound. And then the wound is transformed into medicine through the process, the alchemy of the healing process. And then it goes into your mesa as a gift for other people and for yourself.
Beautiful.
So that's what's happening in the cocoon as your new butterfly, the imaginal cells is what your innate design is in spirit. So like your innate design in spirit is the beautiful gift that you are. The beautiful gift that you are came out of all of the stuff you went through and experienced and felt and processed. So all of it becomes reknown to you. So while you're in the first part of your journey, and I'll speak for myself, when I was in my first part of my journey, going to all those frustrating psychotherapy sessions and just spinning the story and creating more of it for myself, what happened was I learned a lot from firsthand experience about my power to manifest outcomes for myself. And when I was manifesting outcomes for myself from a place of, thinking I'm broken, thinking there's something wrong with me, I got to fix myself to be acceptable to other people, all these constructs that were in my brain from my early childhood trauma, which, did my mom put that in my brain? No, but like my brain just made associations and just thought a bunch of stuff, right? Because here I am, a little child, I see my parents are fighting, I see this is happening, and children always take responsibility for it. It's just
Blame
little
ourselves.
helpers. We come in to help. So I had a construct, and I learned how to manifest, worse and worse outcomes from that construct. So when I made my turning point and I shifted into, my 90-degree turn into my new life, which I would posit this experience we're collectively having on the planet is a huge opportunity for this, a big right degree turn out of this mess and this madness, is that it all becomes your wisdom, every bit of it. And you can, like in my case, I learned how to manifest from a bad place. I learned how to manifest like less desirable outcomes. But what it taught me is I'm really good at manifesting. So if I can manifest all that stuff for myself, I can manifest really good stuff too.
Awesome.
That's what I've been doing through my training and my spiritual practice over the last 9 years.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But it's, and it's like trusting and having faith in yourself.
Yes. Yes, I love it. So this is perfect. So you want to talk today about stepping into your purpose. And so, one of the questions that did come up for me around that is, well, gee, we're in this time where, people are, on the one hand, yes, they're in that composting phase, and the regeneration phase, right? But on the outer surface, it might look like a lot of trauma and a lot of really intense stuff going on. So how can someone in this moment pivot into purpose?
Yeah, pivoting into purpose. Well, here's what I understand about the journey is that everything that you personally go through is a gift for other people eventually when you master it. Right? So for me, I had to learn how to set good boundaries. I had to learn how to access my own truth inside, speak my voice, speak my truth, stand my ground, hold my boundary, right? These are all things that I had to learn. And as I practiced that in my circumstances, right? And as I practiced that in my life and got better with that, then I was able to help more people with that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in a spot right now where you're at home or you're in a situation where you might be trapped inside with somebody who's abusive, it's a possibility.
Oh, yeah. That's been I think the most heart-crushing thing for me right now is to know that the domestic violence and child abuse have been on the rise. That's been the hardest thing for me to face in this whole thing.
And this is where, no matter what challenge you're facing, you might be facing the loss of income. You might be facing, there's a whole lot of challenges people are facing right now. Whatever the challenge is that you're facing, that is a wound that as you work through that with your higher power, you learn how to access that, the higher power within you. It's not outside of you, it's in here. It's in your heart, it's inside. As you learn to listen to yourself for the next right step, the next best step, the next thing that might be really uncomfortable to do. As you do that, as you listen and as you take the inspired actions, that is the medicine for the wound. And that is the thing that brings you the mastery that then on the other side of this, that's your gift. It's one of your gifts that you'll share with other people. So if you've been feeling that call to purpose, like for the last couple of years, like now is the time, but you were like, yeah, but I can't, or yeah, I'm just not ready, or I don't think I've learned it all yet, or, all those excuses we have for not, because it would mean that we would have to compromise our comfort and our safety in order to go into the unknown and start becoming the thing, the butterfly, start to become the thing that we're actually here to be. So in the book I channeled last year, it's called The Second Wave, Transcending the Human Drama. It talks in the first chapter about the book of fate and the book of destiny.
Mm.
And the book of fate is the book that we were handed when we walked into this thumbprint suit, when we came into this life, into this thumbprint suit, this unique thumbprint life with all of its ancestral history, right, in the physical body and all of our soul's history in our etheric body. We came into this thumbprint suit. And
I love that name, thumbprint suit.
Yeah, I mean, we all have a unique thumbprint. We know that, right? So
right.
You just slid into it with your energy. And we know that we're separate. We know that the soul is separate from the body because just watch anybody die. I watched my dad die a few years ago, and he was there in the physical, and he was breathing very laboredly, and he was there. And then he poofed, and like it felt like white sparkle dust like went over the whole room, and then he was gone. The body was still there, but he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking about the thing that makes you breathe and talk and think and move around.
It's life force. Yes.
The life force. Yeah. So that slides into this suit of clay, this being, and then you give it life, you animate it. So that one is, that's the book of fate, is when you don't know that you're the light, you only think you're the clay. Mm. That's the book of fate. But when you realize and you open to that you're the sparkle dust that makes the light suit work, then it's like a book of destiny opens.
Nice.
And it takes some work to bridge between the book of fate and the book of destiny, because there's a lot of things to attachments we have that we have to let go of, like and structures in the mind. So but you can, when you realize that you're the sparkle dust, when you realize that you're the life force, then you can reprogram your consciousness in your thumbprint suit to be more amenable to what you want to create in your life. And that's the process of reinvention that I do with people. That's what I learned how to do. And it starts with the willingness to let go of it all. Like, well, I was ready to kill it anyway, so I might as well explore the possibility of staying alive in this thumbprint suit, but reprogramming it.
Yeah. Yes. So say somebody is, recognizing that life's not working, or there's at least a part of life that's not working, not ready to kill it all, but, okay, this could be better. Like, how do you help people? Where do you take them as a start?
Well, the first place I take people is the sacred space.
Nice.
Because you got to ask for help to get help. This plane of existence is all permission based. So if you want help, you have to ask for help, and you got to build it in a relationship. So you're opening to receive help, and it's not like a supplicant, like, oh, please help me. It's more like, I welcome support. And how hard is that for women to do that? Right. I welcome support. It's that motion. It's like, help me now. I bring in support for myself. I call in support for myself. That's what the process of opening sacred space is. And since we're on Earth, I use the indigenous tradition of calling in the directions. Nice. Calling in the south and the west and the north and the east, and learning what those are and what they offer us. They're energies, and these energies offer gifts. So learning to have a relationship with these energies is what I teach people, and opening to the earth herself and all of life on Earth. The plants have magical gifts. I was leading a full moon despacho last night, which is a prayer ceremony on Zoom. And we were releasing what doesn't serve. So people were in the chat saying, oh, this doesn't serve and this doesn't serve. And I'm releasing this, and I'm getting, I'm ready. I'm done with this part. And it was getting very thick and heavy in the energy. And then all of a sudden it was getting so heavy that the power actually surged, or something happened, and I lost connection with the Zoom. So as soon as I got back in, the energy was still really heavy. So I started singing an Icaro, which is a beautiful healing song, calling to the plants for help, calling to all the plant medicines for help. And as I sang it, the energy got lighter and lighter and lighter. And people were saying in the chat, oh my gosh, it's so much better now. Thank you. Like, everything is getting better. It's getting lighter. It's getting clearer. So like, it's just learning how we have so much support is what I'm trying to say. Like, we're not alone.
Yeah. Beautiful.
We just have to welcome in the support, just like we welcome the angels and the guides. And yeah.
Right. We just have to ask.
Yeah.
Yes. So, all right. Would you be willing, by chance, to give our viewers and listeners an experience of, like, how we can just stop where we are and ask for help?
Yeah, sure. So we'll just open sacred space together. So the best way to do this is just stay in your heart and close your eyes. Just feel and perceive, because the eyes are connected with our conscious brain, and the eyes can be deceiving. So we tune into other senses, tune into our feelings, our perceptions, our senses in our body. And so as I call in the directions, just pay attention to your senses and how you feel, what you notice. I welcome the winds of the south to wrap your coils of light around us, to help us to be present and in our bodies, present here on Earth, and to feel so much love and so much support. to palpably feel the love and support that surrounds us. Welcome you, the winds of the south. I welcome the winds of the west to help us to let go of all that doesn't serve with ease and grace, and to expand into the next highest potential available to us at this time. I welcome the winds of the west to help us to be wise and discerning. What is for us, what is not for us, what is true for us, what is not true for us. I welcome the winds of the west. I welcome the winds of the north, the place of our ancestors, to be with us, to help us, to cheerlead us, to support us. I welcome the winds of the north to help us to know who we are in truth and love. That pure vibration, that truth of who we are, to be very ever-present aware of that, to help us navigate through life. Welcome the winds of the east for that bigger potential, flying high like eagle in the sky, the big perspective. And I welcome the winds of the east for the unknown, the mystery that could evolve, the sunrise in every moment. Things could be so different, more beneficial. So I welcome the winds of the east to help us to embrace the unknown. I welcome the earth below, Pachamama, Mother Gaia, and all your beautiful friends and allies that you've gifted us for this life experience. I welcome the elements, the earth, the water, the fire, and the air. I welcome all the animal spirits and the birds in the sky. I welcome all the plants, and the trees, the rocks, the mountains. Welcome all the oceans and all the aquatic life. I welcome mariposa, butterfly. I welcome the sun and the moon and the stars above for all the beautiful light, the sunlight, the moonlight, the starlight, the rainbow light. And I welcome the Great Spirit, you who is known by 1,000 names and yet is unnameable. Thank you for bringing us all together. Thank you for allowing us to sing this song of life. And just take a moment and notice how you feel. Do you feel more support? Do you feel surrounded in protection? Do you feel calmer? Do you feel more grounded? So this is the space that I like to help people to access within themselves so that they can find clarity in the middle of a whole lot of stuff going on in the collective and in our families and our homes.
That felt wonderful. I feel more centered. I feel more present. I feel lighter, more clarity. I feel more anchored. And this felt great. Great. Thank you. And
yeah, I bring myself there often.
Yeah. Anybody in the chat on Facebook or want to share what that experience was like for you? I'd love to hear from you. Wow. So that's a start for getting to that sacred space so you can begin to make that transition from fate to destiny and fate book to destiny book and start to step into purpose.
Yeah, because that will guide you. You know, you can feel how making a choice right now would be in this kind of space and this kind of feeling would be much a more powerful choice than you might make if you were in fear or anxiety or worry or confusion or doubt.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so I humble myself every day knowing that I'm stronger when I ask for help from spirit. I'm stronger when I start my day opening sacred space. And at first people report to me, my clients, that they feel kind of silly or they feel ridiculous or they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing it right. I don't know if anything's happening. And so it's, you know, those are all layers of the ego. It's just all layers of the ego. And you just got to keep doing it until you build the pot. It's like if you if you're on the Nile River and you want to go down a little tributary off to the side, you're going to have to like plow your oar into the bottom of the river and move. Like you're going to have to work it to move to that tributary, to move your boat. You're going to have to struggle with it and move it. But then every single time you get to the tributary, you've just built another neuron connection in your brain that says, hey, this is where we're going now.
Okay.
So every time
so we
you accomplish it, you get there.
Yes.
So people have the hardest time doing what I just shared with you. It's so funny to me. Like the daily practice of opening sacred space is like building that muscle.
Right. And rewiring those pathways.
Yeah, because the ego's like, no, I can do it. I could do it myself. I would do it myself. So you got to constantly be like, I'm opening to the bigger picture. I'm opening to support. I'm opening to the clarity that feels so good. And in that clarity, I have peace. And in the peace, there's an answer.
Beautiful. So, all right. So then, okay. So I'm in a better place, but now what? How do I discern, know what to do next?
So this is about learning your body responses, right? Because in a beautiful space, a peace space, when you open for an answer to one of your challenges, the answer will have a totally different feeling and vibration once you start learning how to tune into feeling and vibration, not just eyesight. Like that's why I say close the eyes. Do you want to really feel everything? And it'll have a different feeling and vibration than a decision that you would make if you were not in that space. So it's starting to learn, how does it feel when I make a choice from peace versus how do I feel when I make a choice from anxiety? What's the tenor of those two choices? What's the vibration? And like say maybe a choice made from anger or from frustration or from scarcity or fear might feel more dense and kind of icky, like it's got little pokey edges or something. And then a choice made from peace just feels clean. It's just like, whoop. It's just clear and clean and obvious. So they're two different things. So then as you practice this opening sacred space and then getting into sacred space, and there's a lot more practices I teach people for how to hone this intuitive skill, then you'll be able to discern throughout the day what state of being you're currently in. Am I in my peace? Am I in my expansion? Am I in my soul guiding me? Or am I back in my ego and afraid and like in my material existence? You know, and when I say ego, I don't mean it's derogatory. I mean, it's more like it's just a different state of being. It's a material state. It's a temporary material state of being, and it's valid, perfectly valid, just as valid as your soul expression. So it's just learning, like, where on the spectrum are you? And you might at some moments be overlapped, like, oh, okay, which one do I pay attention to right now? The material concern or the soul level knowing? And so it says, you know, it's a navigation. You've got to learn how to navigate your inner system. Like I shared a lot of feeling terms with you guys because that's how I discern it. I discern it through feeling sense. But your senses might be really different. Like you might just get a gut knowing, or you might have a word show up in your head that you're like, oh, whenever that word happens, I know it's true. So everybody's got a different way to navigate this, but it's the same. We're all doing the same journey. We're all in the same journey. We're just at different places in the journey. And we all interpret the journey through different filters because our thumbprint suit's totally different. So
And our initial programming also.
And our initial, which is the thumbprint suit, right? And all the programming and all the life's experiences and your past soul experiences, everything. So this like conscious matrix that we live in is revealing to us all the time how we think and feel. because it shows up on our external reality. So to learn how to navigate it on the inside really helps to learn to navigate it on the outside.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So this gives another layer of meaning to the answers are within you.
They're inside
right?
of
The
you.
The truth is inside, and your navigation system is also inside.
So if anybody's feeling really frustrated because there's like 1,000,001 ideas out there about what's actually happening, and there's conspiracy theories, and then there's people that say, no, that's ridiculous. I know somebody that died from COVID. And then there's like all of this cacophony of like people really passionate and convinced that they're right.
Right.
Yeah, because you can't find your truth out there anymore. We're not doing that. You got to find it inside of yourself. It's the only way. So we have to find the truth within.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I think that the power really comes when we recognize that, what is going on around us is, it's in the material realm, the realm that we are so much bigger than. As you said, we are the dust, did you call it stardust or fairy dust?
Fairy dust, stardust.
Fairy dust. Yes. So we literally are stardust, right? We're made of the same material as stardust. And so we are the fairy dust, the stardust, and the world around us is just laying out opportunity for this stardust to have an experience and to, what's your take on that? Because that's my take on that. Why are we in this world? Why does the stardust come here? Why are we in this world? And then, what's the point?
Well, I think we're here to experience it. We have a soul's curriculum in every life, and we came here to experience that. And some of that soul curriculum is collective. So, for example, I was just having a great conversation on my podcast with a different guest, and it was about, this is some things I'd noticed that I thought, this is so interesting. When I started my spiritual path, what I realized is that everything is metaphorical. So with spirit, like everything we experience in our life is metaphorical. So when you start to realize it's all metaphorical, you can start to interpret the story of it. It's all a story and it's all a metaphor. So, okay, this is really interesting. So like even right now, as we're told to put on masks.
Mm-hmm.
So the mask is like, well, we all have masks. We all wear masks all the time. That's what the ego is. We're always wearing a mask. We're covering up ourselves so we don't want somebody to see us, to see who we truly are. Or maybe we feel like people can't see us because they wouldn't like what they see if they knew who we really were. Or maybe we put a mask on to protect ourselves from other people. And so now what do we have in the collective external experience? We're being told to wear masks. Now, there's reason behind it and all that, but just skip that for a moment and just really follow this. We're being told like, oh, put your mask back on. We can't have you not have your mask on. But really, this is a time of awakening. This is a time of taking off the mask, putting down the mask. So you could see this battle between like the egoic side that's like, no, put the mask back on. And then the soul self is like, no, we're done with the masks. We're going to know each other in truth. So it's just fascinating to see, the way the metaphor plays out. He also brought up another interesting one I hadn't considered, which is like all the stuff we consume.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were talking about it, like we've been these caterpillars on this earth, like humanity, and we've been consuming, and everything has been about consuming.
Consumption and waste. Yep.
And now we got to distill. We have to distill, integrate, discern, and choose, and then become. So not everything goes into the butterfly. It's just not everything going to go with you there. So it's that process. So like we're not able to trust what we're consuming now. If you notice, like we don't feel 100% faith in all the stuff we're consuming out there. We're like, oh, I'm not sure that's the best thing to be consuming on the media, or I'm not sure that's the best thing to consume in my diet, or I'm not sure about consuming this experience, or like, what are we consuming? And do we want to keep consuming that? Or do we want to now integrate, discern, and choose so we become the life that we really desire? So it's just, it's a really fascinating time. It's very unsettling, but it's also fascinating. If we can get ourselves in the soul space through, inviting help, inviting sacred space, and get into the grounded soul connection space, there's an opportunity to see how fascinating this human experience is that's happening across the globe and what it's guiding us toward.
Yeah, beautiful. So I'm going to ask you one last question. For people who, there's a lot of really painful things to see. You brought up the domestic violence, and abuse situation. And there's just, a lot of, there's a lot of good to consume. When you talk about consuming, there's a lot of good in the world. And then there's a lot of stuff that, can be heartbreaking. Heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, like, oh my gosh, how can this really be happening? How can people be like this to each other in this time that we're in any time, right? To each other, to the planet. How can people still be, seeing this and still be like disregard or not willing to face what I believe is the truth, right? What is my truth? Why can't they see that, right? Why can't they see that and I'll change and, make the shifts that I firmly believe are necessary in order for us to move forward in a peaceful and sustainable way. What can you say for those people to help them to navigate?
Cope?
Yeah. Cope, navigate, break free. I was trying to choose the right word, but I think navigate,
Navigate it. Yeah. So, well, I've worked with this quite a bit because as a sage, I have the capacity to influence the direction of energy for myself and others. That's a big responsibility. So I navigate this within myself because I see all the stuff. I've seen all the conspiracy theory. I've seen it all. I've seen all the stuff. And I don't dismiss it. And I also don't direct the energy there, right? So how do I do it with myself? Well, what really helped me recently was a Rumi quote, which reminded me, and I'd seen this quote a million times, but I was like, finally got it, is that you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the whole ocean in a drop. So when we take that perspective, we are the whole ocean in a drop. That means that everything that's out there is also in here. Now, at first that feels icky. Like, I'm not a child molester, right? I don't do that. There's a big I don't, right? There's revulsion, things like that. So to be the whole ocean in a drop is actually empowering because it means that you can heal whatever is inside of you. If you're the whole ocean in a drop, then you can heal the whole ocean that lives inside your drop. So if you're able to take responsibility for your drop of the whole ocean, then you can heal everything that's inside your drop in the ocean. And if you understand the way light works, light beings work, is that once whatever's healed inside your ocean, inside a drop, is constantly sharing beams of light with other drops that are the whole ocean in their drop. So there's consciousness information that's even right now being shared between me and all of you, and between Debra and all of you, because you're seeing our light. You're hearing my voice and you're seeing my light. And so everything that's in my bubble of the whole ocean that I've healed is now being shared with you as a potential in your field, in your reality, for you to claim, to say, yes, I want to heal that. Now, there's still a process of it, and making our minds come along and understand how the whole thing works. But at the energetic level, it's already happened. It's already happened because we're holding space together. So as I open my heart and I share my heart with you, it's already happening. So this is my solution, is that everything I witness that I immediately want to say, that's not me, I bring it into my ocean. I say, well, I am the whole ocean in a drop. So that is me somehow. And then I take that, I open sacred space around it, around myself, around my whole ocean in a drop, and I lift the whole thing to the upper dimensions. I lift everything to the upper dimensions, because in the upper dimensions, not congruent with certain things. Okay? So claiming it is actually empowering, and lifting it to the upper dimensions is empowering. And we're lifting the whole field together this way by healing within ourselves with forgiveness, compassion, and love, bringing it all up into the higher space, and then sharing our photon beams of light with each other and with everybody we meet, is lifting the whole planet to the upper dimensions where certain things are no longer congruent.
Beautiful. So
like that?
Yeah, I love it. And so as these other things are no longer congruent, in your theory, do you feel like, well, they just don't show up in your
drop
outer
off
world anymore? They just drop out, right?
Just drop out.
Yeah.
Just not congruent anymore. So you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out the most with. Right. We know this. We've heard these things for years, and we just didn't apply it or understand it completely. So this is what it is. If you want to elevate your ocean in a drop, you got to be around and hang out with other people, online or in podcasts or wherever you can, that have already done significant work along that journey of lifting their whole ocean in a drop. So you can collect the codes of the things that they healed, so that you collect the codes of that and you get it into your bubble. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then, so that really goes hand in hand with the thing I shared on your show, I think, was that your life, what my teacher used to say, your life is what you see in your life, your experiences of your life. It is for you and it is from you. It is from you and it is for you, but it is not about you. It's not about you. It's about the collective. We're all here together. It's about the ocean. It's a whole ocean, and you are the whole ocean in a drop. So that's what the work has been. So if you want to know what your purpose is, you're doing it. You're already doing it. Now there's an external representation of your purpose. Like, the external representation of my purpose is that I hold these calls, I do podcasts, or I hop on the phone with people, or I do a group mentoring program or whatever, right? That's my externalization of my purpose. But my biggest purpose is to heal myself. To not shy away from it. Don't, like, oh, I don't want to see that. That's not part of my reality, or no. But my whole big purpose is to bring it all in and say, well, at some level, it must be me, because I am the whole ocean in a drop. And from that space, I have the power to claim it, heal it, do anything I want to it, because it's me. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I love that you correlated that, the healing in that way, and the taking responsibility for what your experience of the collective within your own ocean. I love that, because I love that Rumi quote also, and I use it quite often in my teachings and things as well. And I love that correlation of it. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So any last words you'd like to share with people before we sign off? Well, I just want to say, like, if things are getting really tough, just take some moments to give yourself nurturing support. Go out on the earth, open sacred space, however you do it, and just be with the earth, get support, ask for support. You can even lie belly to belly with the earth and just say, please help me, mama. Take it from me. Just take it all from me that I can't handle. That's not mine. If I've bitten off more than I can chew, or, it's really not mine to process, or, I've been getting in the middle between two people that are fighting, and it's not my space, and just help me to be out of it. Help me to let go of what's not mine and come back into peace. And it's such a beautiful gift. The earth is really here for us, and we're helping her. She's helping us. So we are her, in this factor, so yes. Yeah. So that's my main thing, is just, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself during this time. And, if I do have a free gift I'd like to give people if they want it. Means. Yes. It's called the Love Mastery game. It's an oracle game, but it's not to tell you what's going to happen because, that would spoil everything. But it's more like to help you to see what it is, like why are you having the challenge you're having? Because I believe that we're all here to be mastering love and mastering states of being and principles of love. And so this game helps you to identify like what state of being am I mastering and what principle of love am I mastering and what allies on earth could help me and support me right now with their gifts and their wisdom. So it's a fun game. You can print it out. It's free. You might want to get like a 12-sided die because it's just fun to roll the dice and play the game with the dice. It's just fun.
The Love
But
Oracle game. Where do people get this?
they can get it at my website, kerryhummingbird.com, which is KERRI hummingbird.com/play.
Awesome. Okay.
And it's all over my website too. You can just click the logo for it.
Okay, great. KerryHummingbird.com, and that's KERRI hummingbird.com. And I'll put that into the the notes and everything too.
It's a fun game. There's a lot of wisdom out of that game, so it's very helpful.
I bet. Awesome. I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah. Get you some.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, thank you so much, Kerri. This has been wonderful, and I'm really enjoying spending this time with you that we've got to spend together lately.
Me too, and I enjoy everybody that stayed with us on the call. So thank you for being with us, and hope this was helpful. And yeah, I love shining the light out there, helping whatever way I can.
Yes, and helping to lift the vibe of the entire planet so that we can all spread our wings and fly into the evolution that is waiting for us.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. Sun is rising.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody who's here. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you listening to the recording. And if you, I'll put Kerri's information there. You're welcome to reach out to her if you want to connect with her. She's a beautiful being. All right. Thank you all so much.